Hello, Crafty Chris here. Just checking in, and this is not a Scrap Your Scraps type video, but I'm doing some work with mixed media right now, and I thought I would play around. I have some inspiration here. Let me just show you the colors that I'm getting inspired by. That light is seriously high, so let's reduce that, because it's whiting everything out. There we go. So I've got some turquoise, some kind of brick reddy color, some browns in there. So this was my inspiration for the color that I'm trying to build, and I'm using some clay pieces. This broke apart because it wasn't flat, and I didn't let it dry with a weight on it, so it is broken into pieces so I can put it as flat as possible. And this one is like a rubbery lightweight cast. So what I want to do is sort of build some different layers, and I've got all kinds of different colors here. I've got speckled egg, savage patina, old paper, vintage photo, walnut stain, bundle sage, frayed burlap, fired brick. What else do I got here? I think that's about it. And I'm going to be trying to create works with this kind of color variation. So in the back, I am going to start with a smooshing. So I'm just going to get some colors here. And I think I'm going to go with, now, you need a piece of paper to do some blocking, because in my case I have a very small area to work, so I don't want my spray to go everywhere. And actually I'm going to put it on the ground first. So this one is vintage photo, so I'm going to put a little blob of spray there. And let's see, I'm going to take some speckled egg. These are all inks versus oxides. Whoop, that's got quite a bit there. And throw in some old paper. And I'm just going to do stains to start with. And what else do I have? I use speckled egg, so maybe a little bit of salvage patina in there. And I'm just kind of randomly putting a blob or two here or there. And then I have this, what's this called? Crooked broomstick, but it's kind of like a shiny metallic brownish color. So I'm going to put that in a couple of places. And then I'm going to add some water. So let's move everything out of the way here. And I'm just going to spray some water in there, just to give it some movement. And then I'm just going to stick this puppy down inside there. There we go. And I'm just going to give that a try. So just drying that up a little bit, and then I'll go and push it in again. Okay, I'm going to take a tissue, just pull a little bit of the damp color off. All right, now I'm just going to swish my finger through and smush this down again. Oh, and in that corner. Just draw a little bit out along the edges there. Okay. Now I'm going to put a little more speckled egg in there because there's an awful lot of brown, and a little more Savage Patina in there. And then we're just going to plop this on again. There we go. And pull out more of it for the edges. There we go. And get those edges, because I don't really want to have, whoops, be careful you don't get that on you. All right, that's looking a little more like it. Let me dry this off. And I'm going to take my tissue and I'm going to just wipe up what's here because it's getting quite muddy. Then I always use these for my junk journals. So the more colors in them, the better. And I can see a tiny bit of sparkle in there, which I'm going to play up a little bit more when I'm done. Okay. Now, I just want to throw in a tiny bit more of the patina. But I'm going to sop most of it up. I just want to get some additional layering happening there with that. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but there is some gold flecking happening. So again, I'm going to go in and maybe just touch my finger in different places. With the straight color. All right. And so now I have a little more texture with that shiny gold stuff. All right. Give it one more quick dry. And let's see how it's looking with the colors that I have to work with. Now these colors are more muted. So I could, if I wanted to, go back in and plop a bit of the oxides in there. So let's move a little bit of this over. And I'm just going to put tiny spots of blocks of oxide. I don't want a lot. Whoa. This one exploded on me. Okay. Wow, I really have to clean that. Don't know why it exploded. Maybe we're high pressure today. That's odd. And you don't want to, you want to make sure you've cleaned them, because if they get jammed in with the nozzles get blocked with the chalkiness, it can be a problem. Okay, just going to put a little bit of like seriously just a little bit. And what else do we have here? Little vintage photo too. A little too much. All right, so I'm just going to swoosh this around a little with my finger. Then I'm just going to plop in different places. And the oxide, has a chalky base, so it's not translucent. So it'll give a bit of a haze to things. So if you look at this, you can start to see the hazy parts, which were the oxides. Now the other thing I can do to this is give a spray. Now this spray bottle, I have to adjust because it's giving too much blobbiness. So got it completely closed, and I'm just going to open a tiny bit. There we go. And I can do some tapping. And the tapping gives nice texture. Or I could pool the water if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to. I wanted just a little bit more texture there. Alrighty, so there you have the background. I think it looks pretty yummy. Alrighty, so I'm liking it. It's coordinating well. Now I need to color these. Now I have not done coloring on these before, so this will be interesting. I think I'm actually going to do some painting for the flesh tone areas because I don't want it to be, don't want to run into that area. So I'm going to use my ink still. Let's see, I'm going to start off with a couple of colors. I'm going to use the speckled, whoops, keep getting a little too much of that speckled. Little tiny bit of vintage. And what happened to the lid for the vintage? There it is. Some old paper. This is all ink. And some Savage Patina. And I'll put this on last after I've dried everything. Okay, I'm going straight into the ink when I'm adding some color. Oh, look what I did. I stained it. So the first thing I want to do is really water down. I'm going to put some water on this side of my mat here. Take a tiny bit of ink and really water down that inky color. And that's how I'm going to get the skin tone of the mother and child. So I'm just going to take that and apply that several times. And if I feel I need to, I will add more color to it, but as you go, you can see that the color builds up. And just in the faces, I'm literally making sure that I cover all the skin tone places just by painting that pale color on it. And the more layers I do, the darker the fleshy tone comes. Okay, so now I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to darken the background a little bit more. So now I am going to try to stain in the background more darkly. Now I could try to take around off the ridges that were left after taking the sorry, I'm trying to remember the word I'm trying to use, is after taking the piece out of the form, but I would have to sand it down, and I'm just not in the mood for that, so okay. So the background is going to be a little darker, and like I said, you can go over and over and over these to create darker backgrounds. And the hair I'm going to do very dark. I'm going to do straight color. But for now, I'm just getting in the background here. Multiple layers. Trying not to let too much of it sit in between the words, because you want the words to show. Whoops, forgot this piece. All right, and doing the edges as well. All right, that's a beginning. Now I am going to just take the water out of my brush, and I'm going to go into the brown, and I'm going to paint the hair dark brown. And I'm going to have to probably do a couple of layers of that. Child's hair. It's going to be dark as well. Okay, now I'm just going to dry these pieces a tiny bit because they're getting a little goopy. The clay is getting a bit soft, and I don't want to lose the pattern in the clay. All right, now I think I still need to go deeper, but this time I'm going to add a little bit of old paper in there to give a bit of a green hue. Not everywhere, just odd spots to show a little bit of difference in coloration. I need a little bit more. There we go. And I probably shouldn't have watered it down that much. So I'm going to take the straight goods, go in there. There we go. Dry those off a bit. And now I'm going to go back in. Whoops, just a little too dark. So let's get some water. Blend that down a little bit more. All right, I think I have made a grievous error here, making this too dark. The clay does absorb quite a bit and fairly quickly, so you do have to work quickly. I'm just going to add some more of that greeny color to the words. Okay, so we need some more vintage. And we need some more old paper. Okay, and since I darkened in that so much, I'm going to have to darken in what's going on here to match. There we go, and then I'll add some more green to that. I'm going to let that dry on the one side. I darken up this side. There we go. And then again, okay. And now I'm going to add some walnut to the hair because I think that we need the hair to be more of a darker brown. And I don't have walnut in a spray, so I'm simply going to just pounce it onto my board, or my mat rather, and grab a little bit of water and go back in. Color the hair. There we go. It just gives us a little bit of a different brown. It's not so easy to get all the spots. Now, having done all of that, I'm feeling like the skin tone is very pale. So we are going to have to put a little bit more water on the mat. And I think I might even add a tiny bit of red. So I got my fire brick red here. That's too much red. A little dark. There we go. I think that's a better combination of colors than what I had before. This is a bit more fleshy toned. That red made a difference. Red, a bit more of the brown. There we go. And all right, so back to the green. We're going to go back in. And we're going to apply some green all along the edges. And where was that? I need a little bit more. going to dry all that out. And then we're going to put in our turquoise and finish with our gold parts. All right. Look at the colors that are coming out here. All right, I have to open it up a bit. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to add in a little bit of the greeny blue, which is the tumbled glass. It's very pale, so you have to lay it on fairly thick. Just going over where I laid it before, make sure that we have lots of color there. Alrighty, and then I'm going to go back in just mixing in the colors. Need to water that down just a little bit. And this is speckled egg. I need a little more speckled egg. Or is that salvage patina? Don't know. Yeah, it's salvage patina. Alright, we're going to dry that off. Rinse out my brush. Alright, now I'm going to take some of the Distress Mica and I am going to go over the letters as carefully as I can. Try not to put too much ink on them so that it dribbles, because I want them to kind of have a bit of a glisten to them. There we go. That's looking great. And then in a couple of spots where there's texture, I'm going to add some of the metallic, and on the edge of the drapery, a little bit of metallic in the larger bumpy bits, a couple of little dotty bits, some of these stripy bits here. Okay. Oops. Get some water. I made a boo-boo on her shoulder, so I want to try and take that out before I dry everything. That's better. That won't come off too well. Okay. All right. So we're going to dry this. Alrighty. So we do have some glitter happening. So we'll just put those pieces aside. Now this is the rubbery one. I do not know how this is going to take take the ink. So let's use the oxides. And I'm going to have a little bit of oxide. Salvage patina. And then, is that, no, that's spray with the oxide. Speckled egg. Whoa, this is really having a problem. It's not so pretty. Lid in my hand. Some old paper. That's the spray ink again. I need the distress. I've already got ink in there. Does seem to take it. Okay, this is old paper and vintage photo. Ooh, sounds like Glaze is coming. Okay, just to start, I'm going to take some vintage photo and just fill in the background. Oh, this does not look like it's going to want to work. All right, so that's interesting. So what can I do to keep it, to make it color? Okay, I think I am going to use a little bit of primer. So I have my gesso primer here, and I'm going to water it down. If I can get it open. So I'm using a gesso primer, and I'm using a paintbrush, and I just made a mess in there. So I'm not using a paintbrush. There we go. Close that up. I won't need even this much. I have quite a bit on there. Put that aside. Okay. So I'm going to test this on the back. So I have a gesso primer. And what I'm trying to see is whether or not, if I prime it, I can actually paint over the primer. Eek. Okay, it's more or less dry. And so let's see what happens. It does. It's very light, but it does work. Let's see if it's better with regular stain. Stain works better. well, let's do a few different things here. Okay, so I need a different brush. I'm going to use a big flat brush. And I'm going to go in and try to prime all the surfaces. This is my crummy brush. Everybody needs a crummy brush in their stash. They come in handy because you don't worry about the bristles. It's a cheap brush. It's just for applying stuff like this. And the hope is that I'll be able to paint the surface when I'm done. Okay. Just soak some water in there, clean up some of the mess here. So I'm just going to get as much as I can out, just doing this, and then I'm letting it soak up the water and keeping it wet so that I can clean it later. Alright, now we're going to dry that. Got it all over my fingers. That's what messy stuff is all about, right? Now I imagine this would take paint no problem. I think it's the fact that I'm not using paint, I'm using ink that I'm having trouble. So hopefully, I can't remember what that is. Oh, that's shiny stuff. So hopefully, that was not a good plan. I'm going to get a different brush because I think I've got too much metallic in there. And I don't want any metallic. Yeah. Little bit of water. Oh yes, much better. So I'm just going to go over everything with a paintbrush. Just get it in all the spots. I have lots of ink on there, so I'm just continually adding water to spread that ink around. Lay down that base color. Don't forget the sides. Your fingers are going to get messy. It's all okay. They wash. Just keep moving it around till it kind of spreads all over. I'm going to hit it with some heat. So now I got a base. I want to go in. I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to be putting some walnut in there. a little bit of water. And I'm just going to go into different places. And add it in around the outside edge. I think I'll keep it away from the center. Okay, I need some more. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of the speckled egg and rub it in the background. Need some more. Oh, might be a little too much. Okay, I'm just going to drag this down a little bit. And now I'm just going to poke a little bit here and there. Spread it out a little bit. Need some more. Just a little along the edge. Okay. Rinse this out. Dry that off a bit. So you can see that the oxides are much paler. Oops. Okay, I gotta be careful how much I heat that up. And I'm gonna go back and put some more of this in there because I just need to have some more contrast. So there we go. Now we have a little more contrast happening there. So you can see it's trial and error, and whatever depths you want to go into. That's the metallic-y stuff. Okay, I've done that and that. I'm going to take away those, and now I'm going to focus on the brighter turquoise, and it's going to look super bright to start. I am literally painting it on. Getting it into every nook and cranny in that field. I do need a little more. This is the Salvage Patina. I think I said tumble glass earlier, but I don't have any tumble glass. I just have Salvage Patina and speckled egg. And this I am using the chalky one, the Oxide. All right, now I'm going to dry that. I don't want it too close because I don't want to burn it, but I want to dry it. So I'm about 3 inches off of it. There we go. It's not quite dry yet, but it is getting hot. So I want to avoid that. All right, now I'm just going to put some water down and rinse out my slip. And since I had already put this stuff, this is now going to go on top. And I'm going to have to do a couple of layers of this. Mostly just on the top surface because I just want to get. And now I'm going to take some really watery and don't want to put too much in there. Just a little bit on the top edges. I'm scrubbing my brush sideways across the top edges so that it catches a little bit and a tiny bit down the side here and there. Okay, going to dry it again. Whoa, don't need that in there. I'm going to take away all of that because that's finished, but I will need a little more of this. Give it that 3 inches. There we go. It's drying nicely. And now I'm just going to tap this on the surface. And you have to kind of mix it when you tap it because you want to get the metallics in there because sometimes they sink to the bottom. Okay. Just make sure you don't go too heavy because if you go too heavy, it will roll down the side and leave a puddle. Don't really want the puddle part. And again, a little bit of side swiping. To add a bit more texture to what's going on. And a little more around the edges. There we go. And that is now finished. My books anyway. So we're going to just let that dry. Look how beautiful that turned out, considering it was like that white mess at the beginning. Alrighty, so I am now going to stick all this down. So I have to remember these pieces can go there, and they seem to fit pretty well. This one goes there. It's still going to be cracked, and this has to fit under there. So it looks like a bit of a puzzle, but I don't mind that. Alright, so I'm going to get some gooey glue, which is my 450. Whoops. Undo the lid. Takes a minute for the chamber to fill up. And then you're just going to blop it on. It's very sticky, 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 sticky glue, but you don't want it to come out the sides because it is shiny. And we're going to stick that first piece down in the bottom corner. Now, this glue does take a little bit of time to settle and dry, so you don't want to be too quick about moving things around. Oops. Put things in the right direction. There we go. Okay, this is working good. Very sticky glue. Still don't want to fit as nicely, but that's okay. And we'll do the last piece. Fits underneath. Okay, so one of the things I forgot to do, which I really want to do, is I want to put some glaze on here, and I'll show you why. The glaze really, not only does it protect the surface of whatever you've done, but it also heightens the color. So I'm just going to put some down here on this corner, and I'll show you what the difference is. You can probably see it now while I'm putting it on, how it really, and you don't need a lot, brings out the color. And it doesn't, the color doesn't come off on your finger, but look at the difference in, let's see if I can get a good picture of it. The difference in the color here as to here. This looks all sort of, I want to say kind of foggy, and this looks nice and clear and crisp. So you want to be using a little bit of glaze on top of your inked surfaces, and you just rub it in well. It still shows the haziness where the oxide is, but it pulls out all the colors, I think, a little better and makes them more outstanding. And I'm wondering if that might also apply to the surfaces of our I'm going to try it on our surfaces here. Just a little bit. See if it to keep it protected. It's not a bad idea anyway. Yeah. Nothing's coming off, which is good. Once you put it on, you cannot add color on top. Unfortunately, it does seal it with a non-porous surface, which is why your inks and things don't bleed. Now this does take about 12 hours to totally dry, so you don't want to be messing with whatever you've used it on in a rough way. There we go. And this is still sticky, so I'm going to give it a little more time, but I am going to stick it down. It's going to go right at the top here, over top of the card, over top of the hole, because I'm not really using it as a piece of oops, I lost my glue. All right, so I've got to clear my clogged glue, and this is still wet, so I'm just going to, okay, we're not doing that until it comes back down, so I'm putting it upside down. But here I can put my flowers on, and I have the hearts that I want to mount as well. I'm thinking I want a deep purple one to be right there, and this is going to come out a little, and I'm going to put a gem in there and in there. And I don't mind that it's going out because I have my hearts that are going to pop dot there as well. So, how's my glue doing? Oh, yeah, I can start to put things down now. It's such a hard bottle to squish. There we go. Like I said, again, you don't want to get it too close to the edge because you don't want it to leave a mess. And I'm going to put that down sort of in the center. There we go, maybe a little bit more. That's the thing about this glue, is you can shift and shimmy it a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to have to touch that art part up again. This one, sort of daub underneath, and it's going to just sit right there at the bottom. This one needs a daub as well, and I'm going to kind of have it tuck underneath, a little bit out to the side. This one's more in. There, that's more out to the side. Like I said, things will move around, so when you put them down, you want to make sure. Now I want to pop dot these. I don't know how well it's going to stick, so it's another experiment. So I'm going to grab my pop dots, stick them on the back. And I'm going to tuck that in there. And I think I might just put this right on top. Yeah, I don't know how well that's going to stick. It'll stick better when it's dry, but that's an experiment. We'll find out. And this one I think I'm just going to glue flat on top. Got lots, or do I want to skinny dot it? Maybe I will thin foam it. I have a big thing of thin foam. So I'm going to take a tiny smidge of my thin foam. This is only 1 millimeter thick versus the usual 2 millimeter. And I'm just taking a small amount to go on that one edge. There we go. That's going to go on top like that. There we go. And there is our finished tag. Let me just turn off the light to see if you can see it better. There we go. So you got your background in there. And what we're going to do for last things, I'm going to put my light up again, is I'm just going to redo the ink on the art, because I think I touched it before it was dry. So I'm just going to give it a little more, and that'll take a little while to dry completely. Just use up the rest of it that I have, touching the surfaces. There we go. Waste not, want not. There we go. And there we go. Spot this so I can get that. There's tons of ink in there. It's crazy how much ink is in there. Alright. And then other than cleanup, my tag is ready to go, and what I'm going to do is take some glossy accents. And I'm going to be hitting just maybe the heart, the red heart, and I'm putting 2 gems inside the the flowers. So in the beginning of the video, you will have seen the finished project. Okay, so that's it. Have a great week, and this is a mixed media Scrap Your Scraps. Talk to you later. If you like this video, please share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the link below.